All right, so over the weekend, Donald Trump made a speech at Benedict College and HBCU in Columbia, South Carolina. It's safe to say that Donald Trump has never been around that many black people ever in his life. But I'll say this, that he wasn't around that many black people then. Even when he gave a speech at a college, an HBCU, he stuffed the ballot box. He made sure that there were 200 of his supporters there, and only 7 of those students allowed to be there. And he was receiving the Bipartisan Justice Award from these people at Benedict College. Almost any time Van Jones is somewhere and you're a black person, you'd be wise to be on the other side of it. Now, I have no idea what has happened to this cat. I don't know what he believes, but he maligned Kamala Harris for refusing to sit in a room and be used for a prop like he seems to do so eloquently. Because what he said specifically, because I don't want to misquote him, he said basically, running away from a conversation that never solved anything. Some people will abandon a microphone because they don't like what the person who tested last. Others are smart enough to grab that microphone and make sure they get the last word. It's interesting that he would malign Kamala Harris for doing exactly what Donald Trump did. He made sure that only his supporters were there. He made sure he got what he needed and he left. He was not there to have a conversation. It's interesting that he would give this speech a few days after he used the word lynching in talking about him being impeached. It's interesting he would receive a reward for freeing. He's pardoned 2 black people. But meanwhile, during the Central Park 5, he was trying to have 5 people, black people, innocent black people, get capital punishment. He wanted them killed. He wanted them lynched. Also, if he's such a person who's interested in bipartisan justice, why did he roll back all of Obama's sentencing guidelines? Why did he do everything he could to dismantle everything Obama had done? Why does he consistently bring judges, like, as I recall, it's a judge in the news right now that said that the problem why we have mass shootings is because we put all these reforms on police officers? Do you think that helps black people or hurts them? When Obama had a moratorium placed on us looking at the Justice Department, looking at police departments, he took it off. So what he does is uses black people for optics, and Van Jones and people like him make it easy. You malign Kamala Harris for not willing to have a conversation. You didn't say anything to him. Donald Trump is a showman. That's what he is. It's magic. He does magic tricks. He does nothing and pretend like. Interestingly enough, today he's in there talking to police chiefs. You think that's going to go good for black people? What's happening in Texas? When that young woman Tatiana Jefferson was shot down, they wanted an independent body to come in, and when they were forced to face between Texas officials and the Justice Department, Trump's and Barr's Justice Department, who do you think they chose? He is not interested in helping black people, and it's resentful for a man like for Van Jones to pretend like he's an interesting conversation. He's let 2 black people go, and you niggas give him a bipartisan award, justice award, for what? Everything he does is to lock y'all up and to look good doing it. And everything he does, he's abetted by men like Van Jones. You malign Kamala Harris, but you say nothing to him. 7, it was 200 people in there. 10 of those students were were invited. 7 came, and the rest of them were locked in their rooms while that man gave that speech, and you gave him a bipartisan justice award. For what? He is the master of using you as optics. You might as well be the Mercedes backdrop at a club. He is a master of pretending to do something, and he's always abetted by men like you, earnest-looking men who pretend like they have people's best interests at heart, and meanwhile make us look worse and do worse. What you have done, Van, you have normalized him, and she refused to do it, and you maligned her because she wouldn't play the role you played. You should be ashamed of yourself. 2 black men are free, and thousands will go to jail because you believe that he's really doing something. He pretends to do stuff, and he's abetted by cats like you. You malign her because she refused to do what you did. Shine his shoes. It is ridiculous for you. And those people at the SBC, how many times are HBCU going to be around this cat and get nothing for it but a picture? That's what they do. You wonder why they're in trouble all the time financially, because they got men who believe that that's the proper thing to do, running their colleges. Donald Trump does magic tricks. That's what he does. He does magic tricks. He uses black people for optics and nothing more. He goes to take your award for a bipartisan award and say, look at these black people love me. And then he talks to police chief in Chicago. You think he's going to help you there? Donald Trump does magic tricks. He's the magic. Guess who's the trick? That's a little note from the GED section.